back to Broadscast. Welcome back.
Hi, we're here.
We're here.
We stayed. I have had the pleasure, so it is not news. Well, maybe it's news. I have a book coming out.
Yes, you do.
I do.
September 22nd.
Thank you. Called Media Circus. And I had the good fortune and honor to interview 10 families that were involved in high-profile cases and talk about how, what it was like to live their private tragedy in the public eye. And the very first family that I spoke to, woman that I spoke to, was Scarlett Lewis, and she's joining us today.
Good morning, Scarlett.
Hi, Scarlett.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Good. How are you? Jackie's with us too today. So,
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Scarlett. Nice to meet you.
So thank you for rearranging. You're so good. You're always so good to respond to my emails. I always feel like I'm bugging you, but it's been such it's been such a pleasure to get to know you the last year plus outside of what we all think we know of you when we watched what happened obviously in December of 2012. So I just thank you. Our show today is about everyday heroes and the people that, like Jackie said earlier in the show, that just wake up one day and make a difference. And sometimes, like with Jesse, with my brother, it was the sacrificing of their own life to help save others. And so, you were the first person that I thought of when Jackie and I were talking about who we wanted to have on today's show. So thank you for being available so that we could honor you and Jesse, of course.
Thank you very much for having me.
So Jesse was just 6 years old, in Sandy Hook Elementary, and I've been reading so much about him just over the past few days to kind of refresh. And, in the face of something unimaginable, his first reaction was to tell kids to run. And
It's really amazing if you think about it.
And even before that, it sounds like he just had the spirit of what had he written down? Nurturing, healing, love. Before that event.
Right. He wrote those 3 words on our kitchen chalkboard shortly before he died. And, those words aren't in the vernacular of a 6-year-old. It's not something a 6-year-old would normally say.
Right.
They were phonetically spelled because he was just in first grade learning to write. But those 3 words we found are in the definition of compassion across all cultures. And upon a little bit further research, we broke down the meaning of each of those 3 words. Nurturing means loving kindness and gratitude. Healing literally means forgiveness, and love is compassion in action. When you practice those 3 character values in that order, you're choosing love. And so I felt like when I saw that message shortly after he had died, actually when I came home to get his clothes for the funeral is when I first saw it, I just felt like literally he had passed a torch to me. It was like, Mom, this is what the world needs more of. And if the man who shot me had this in his life at home and at school, this wouldn't have happened. And so take this message and bring it to the world. And so this is what I've dedicated my life to for the past 2 3/4 years since he was murdered.
And that was the reason why you started the Jesse Lewis Choose Love Foundation, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I asked myself the same 2 questions that everyone did. How could something like this possibly have happened? And what can I do personally to make sure that it doesn't happen again? And for me, I feel like our children aren't as connected as they used to be. And we're not really teaching tools of resilience. And emotional intelligence in school, and I feel like that's so important. So that's what I've been promoting.
And how do you do that? How do you promote that emotional intelligence? And what are some of the tips you would have for parents to create that?
Well, I've been taking kind of a bottom-up, top-down approach. The Jesse Lewis Choose Love Foundation has actually developed just the social emotional learning programs written by teachers for teachers. We're about ready to release pre-K through 5, and we're developing the rest. These are just based on Jesse's message and the core foundational concepts of social emotional learning. These are going to be free and online. So please, everybody who's interested, check in with us. And I think that, there's lots of social emotional learning programs out there. Some of them are relatively expensive. Personally, I've been working also in my top-down approach with the executive branch, and I introduced the Jesse Lewis Empowering Educators Act into the U.S. Senate in April.
Wow.
A lot of the language in our bill has been woven into the Every Child Achieves Act. And so that actually, we were successful in getting a portion of existing funding to be used to teach principals and teachers social emotional learning concepts during professional development days. It's a small but important step, and also successful in getting non-academic learning to be put into the bill, a definition of that. So it's just kind of, I'm advancing on all levels, and I really think that it's important as parents that we take a more active role than we have in our child's education. I remember I'm a single mom, 2 boys in school, and I went out, I earned a living, I came home, and I cooked and cleaned for my boys. We had fun, and I kind of figured, the school is taking care of things on their end. I'll take care of things on my end. Together we'll make a good team. But it turns out that I think parents need to take a little bit more active role in what's going on in their school. Ask those questions. Ask about school safety and what the protocol is. Be familiar with it. Have your kids be familiar with it. Ask about whether the school offers social and emotional learning. It's such an important part of your child's education.
Right.
And there are over 30 years of research showing incredible across-the-board benefits. In fact, there's no evidence other than other than what is supporting social emotional learning. Make sure that your kids are getting that, and if they're not, figure out a way to incorporate it into your school. Check out our website and have them download our free programs as soon as they're ready. And I just think I wish that I had taken a more active role now in hindsight. And I am moving forward.
So Scarlett, it's such a progressive movement, although it doesn't sound like it should be this progressive.
Right.
But what's have people been resistant to what you're doing? Do they feel like it's not the school's responsibility? Is it a funding thing? Why is there people that are trying to block what you're doing?
You know what? There's been no resistance, and I think that's one of the things in the very beginning. I was in such shock, and obviously a terrible morning, and I knew that I couldn't be against something. I knew I had to do something to help make this a better world, and to turn the tragedy into something that helps that process. But I knew I couldn't come out and be against something. I wanted to be for something. And being for choosing love has really turned out to be a good idea, because nobody said, gee, that's a stupid idea.
Right. And I bet in some ways people are like, why didn't I think of this?
Well, that's usually, this is where the victims movement starts from. It's usually from people that have been traumatized and that have been impacted, that you realize where there are holes and where our system fails and where it breaks down and where need is. This is why when we talked about wanting to have Scarlett, she is paving the way for something that seems so logical, but until Scarlett was, facing it firsthand,
right,
probably didn't realize it.
Well, Scarlett, here's my question. You and Kim both have experienced these tragedies in the public eye, and there are so many families who maybe aren't necessarily, publicized and their pain and their tragedy. I think a lot of them also get stuck when they're in this, after, and they want to do something with it, but they're still in mourning and they're still in so much pain. Like, how do you go from one to the other? Because I think there's a lot of guilt there with some people who suffer tragedies or loss, and they're not there. They don't have a platform. They're not ready. They don't know what to do. Like, do you have any advice for them?
I think that every journey is different, and I know for myself, right away, I made a decision to forgive the shooter in our case, and I was able to do that by understanding that somebody who could do something so heinous must have been in a tremendous amount of pain. And so in doing a little bit of research into Adam Lanza's background, it turns out that he really did fall through the cracks. He actually was crying out for help, as a child does, not raising his hand in class and saying, I think I need to see a psychiatrist, but, you know, he had written a book called The Book of Granny, where a grandmother came into the Sandy Hook Elementary where he was going to school at the time, and her broomstick opened into a semi-automatic weapon, and she murdered children. I mean, that right there is a cry for help, and he never got the help that he needed and that he desperately, obviously, wanted. And so in that way, I could feel compassion for him, and I could forgive him. And I think that that was a really big step for me in my resilience and being able to kind of move forward in a positive way afterwards. And that is not to say that I am not still deeply grieving, because I am. I cry every day, several times a day. But I'm able to kind of take a deep breath. Sometimes I have to forgive again, and then just move forward, honoring Jesse's legacy, honoring the courage that he showed in the classroom when he stood up to the shooter and was instrumental in saving 9 of his classmates' lives.
Wow.
That courage is something that we all have within us. It's that courage to be kind, the courage to do for others, and we all have that. And so honoring that space inside of us, and I think when we're aware of that, we can more easily access that, and that's what it takes on a day-to-day basis, especially having been through what Kim and I have been through. It's just sheer courage every day to get up and move forward.
You know, and when we first met, Scarlett and I were talking, and I people asked me the same question, Jackie, that you asked of Scarlett, and I always answered, like, I sort of feel like whatever I endure on a daily basis doesn't come close to what my brother or Jesse experienced in those last seconds. And so, you know, it does take a tremendous amount of courage, but it also just takes patience and, you know, kindness. Like, I give myself permission to some days just not want to fight the fight, like not want to, you know, do things that are going to move the movement forward. Some days I'm just pooped. Some days I just need to take care of myself. And, you know, I think, you know, to answer your question, I've talked to a lot of victims too, that, you know, sometimes you don't have to, just getting up every day is a feat in and of itself. You don't always have to have a platform or a mission or a bill that you want passed. I mean, that's okay too. It doesn't, you know, what Scarlett's doing with her cause is incredible and so needed. Not everybody, it doesn't appear that way for everybody all the time.
Right. Scarlett, I want to ask you and Kim both, though, does it make it that much more difficult, the fact that everybody feels they have their story? You know, you have such a personal loss, and, you know, the rest of us watching something on the news, or, you know, knowing where we were when we heard, or, you know, both with, you know, Kim's brother and with Jesse, you know, I'm sure that you received the same type of people letting you know how they felt, how it affected their lives when they weren't necessarily personally affected. Like, is that healing for you that other people understand your pain, or is it really irritating?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think that I've gotten a lot more understanding of how a national trauma impacts other people, because what happens with trauma is that when we experience it and we don't deal with it, then we layer it. So it basically gets buried in our brain. Then we experience another trauma, and then that layers over the existing trauma. And then when a big trauma comes, it kind of unfolds like a blooming onion. And then we have an issue. And it doesn't have to be a trauma that happened to us.
Right.
So that's why right now, you know, there are a lot of people in Newtown that didn't even have kids in the school, but they're now having to face traumas that happened earlier on in their life, because this is something that brought that forward. And I think I have a lot more patience and understanding of that now.
Yeah, I guess for me, you know, I too, for a while, I was like, go away, like, this is mine. But it isn't. and once I got to that place of recognizing that it wasn't just my loss, and I was able to celebrate the fact that people knew or, were supporting my family and my brother and seeing him for this amazing human that we all saw him as, I was really comforted by that. And there are definitely days where I'm irritated by it too, there's no doubt, but in the big global sense, it's really very comforting. When people are kind, it's very comforting.
Wow. But you're not
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I had, if you can imagine being held up by a world full of prayers,
Yeah.
I feel like God thought that I would need that kind of support to be able to get through something like that. And, to have boxes of beautiful handmade quilts and shawls and little items made by kids coming from all over the world, that was just, it's such so loving and so kind and generous, and the generosity of spirit was just beautiful, and that really helped me. I have everything that anybody gave me because I just feel like they're love gifts.
Wow, that's amazing. And you're not the only advocate in your family. You have an older son.
Yes.
And how? Tell us about that.
Sure. He was 12 years old at the time, and he had actually texted me that day when I was waiting at the firehouse, can I come and wait with you? And he was at the middle school at that time, 12 years old, 7th grade. And of course I thought, sure, come and wait, because when they find Jesse, and they said that, they're still sweeping the school, they're probably hiding in the woods, and I'm thinking, well, of course, Jesse is such a scrappy guy. I'm sure he's got a contingent of kids, and it's going to take him hours to find them. Mm-hmm. So JT was actually in the middle of all that trauma, and we still talk about the trauma of the firehouse, and we were having a hard time for about a month afterwards. JT really hadn't gone back to school. I couldn't make him go back to school. I sent one kid and he didn't come home. I'm not going to, force another kid to go.
Right.
And, the school, I called the school and asked them for help. They said, I don't think you understand. We're traumatized here. There's nothing we can really do. So we were really on our own. And a group of orphan genocide survivors reached out to us from Rwanda and live Skyped with JT through an interpreter. And they shared their personal experiences of when they had their neighbors break through the walls of their home and murder their families by machete in front of them. Oh, it was just incredible. I mean, these young people they had legitimacy in our eyes, because up until then everybody was saying, you're going to be fine, time heals all wounds, and I'm looking at them going, you really have no idea what I'm feeling. I'm not sure I'm going to be okay.
Right.
And so here were people that had gone through maybe even worse than we had and come out the other side. They gave us their equation for healing, which ironically was the exact same that Jesse had left on the kitchen chalkboard: gratitude, forgiveness, and then finding meaning in their suffering and using it to help other people. JT, after that experience, went back to school the next day and decided that he was going to start a fundraising campaign and raise money for those, they're now young adults, to go to university.
Wow.
And within a couple of months, he was able to Skype back to that same group and announce that he had raised enough money to send one of the orphan genocide survivors to university for 1 year, plus an additional amount to help her family, because of course they're orphans now and they live in large family groups, and this woman actually lived in a family group of 9 that could not survive without her portion of the annual income. So JT found all that out, raised the money, and then made a commitment to her that he would raise the additional 3 years, which he has done. He continues to do this through his effort, NewtownHelpsRwanda.org. He has helped former children's soldiers in Uganda build self-sustaining fish ponds. He sponsored 3 little brothers there. He's helped countless kids in the United States who have gone through terrible traumatic experiences. And I've just watched him grow through this experience, where I can truly say in the last 2 3/4 years, he has matured so much. I mean, he's so far beyond a 15-year-old in kindness and caring and compassion, and this effort has helped him find meaning in his own suffering and loss of his brother, and so by helping others, he's really helping himself, and I'm so proud of him.
Well, Scarlett, that didn't happen by accident. That's a trickle-down effect from what you have done and the home life that you've created for both of your boys. So it is our pleasure and honor to...
It's a true honor
to have you today, and to please say hello to JT for us. And thank you so much for always being so willing to share your story. We're so inspired by you. And people can find out what all of you are doing at the JessieLewisChooseLove.org website, and we'll also put a link up on our site. So thank you, Scarlett, for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kim and Jackie.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care.
We'll be right back with more Broadscast, more heroes. Welcome back to Broadscast. We are talking everyday heroes today. And one person who's been honoring everyday heroes through his work and life mission is Sam Silver, and we have him on the line. Sam?
Hi, Jackie.
Yes, and Kim's here as well.
Hi.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Good.
Doing
How are
well.
you?
Are you on speaker?
Yes, I'm on speaker. You want me to pick up the phone?
Yes, please. We can hear you better.
All right.
Oh,
That's so much better, so much better. So, Sam, you're from Homes for Heroes, which is a national, you have a local branch of a national initiative happening.
Yes.
And it was created after the tragic events of 9/11 as a way to give back to heroes who protect and serve.
Absolutely. That's exactly how it was created.
And why? What motivated you? I don't want to state the obvious, but tell us how you got involved.
I was involved because I was a veteran. I am a veteran, sorry. Mm-hmm. And I was in the Army, and I was looking for a way to have a purpose for real estate and a way to get back to all those that are heroes in our society, like our teachers, firefighters, law enforcement, EMTs, healthcare professionals, and absolutely the military and the veterans.
And so a portion of the gross commission made on buying and selling homes goes out, but it's not just military members, it's police officers, firefighters, first responders. How does that work?
Well, as a realtor affiliate, I donate 25% of my commission directly back to the hero at closing. It goes in as a credit. And all the Homes for Heroes affiliate lenders also contribute to the Heroes savings. So we do have some lenders, and we have what are called Friends of Heroes that participate in this program as well to give rebates and discounts.
So these affiliates are all around the country, and they have all agreed, they sign up at the site, or how does that work?
They actually can go to the site. They can go to the national site is homesforheroes.com, and the local affiliate site is scvhomesforheroes.com.
Okay. And you've set up a pretty substantial goal of $50,000 to give back, just you personally, which is pretty amazing.
Yes, I would like to give $50,000 back to Heroes because nationally we've given over $11 million back to Heroes in our communities, and another $2 million has gone back to Homes for Heroes Foundation, which helps the heroes coming back from the war with housing assistance. Maybe they need a down payment for a house, or maybe they just need rent for the month.
So that foundation money is able to cover that. And how are there a lot of realtors who are jumping on this? Do they feel like they're losing out on their commissions? I mean, it seems like you kind of have a
vested interest.
But I don't know if there are others in the area that are doing the same thing. Are you encouraging others to get involved, or do you kind of?
Yes. There are some others not in this area. I have the exclusive in Valencia area. But there are some others in Lancaster. There's a Homes for Heroes agent in Lancaster. There's some Homes for Heroes in some of the surrounding areas. But they're all across the nation. I talk to Homes for Heroes all over the world, or all over the United States.
And are there ways that others can get involved? I mean, clearly that's when the heroes, go to buy a house or need assistance. But are there other people who, when, maybe not in those positions, but maybe want to help when they're purchasing a house, and they can kind of do the same thing and donate that?
Well, they can, but this is a specific program created through the Homes for Heroes Foundation. Now, Homes for Heroes, they screen all of the prospective realtors and lenders before they're allowed to become part of the program. And all the affiliates go through a deep orientation process. They have really strict guidelines, and it has to be met before being part of the program.
Like, give us an example. What would be the screening? What's the purpose behind that?
Well, the purpose is to make sure that you have people that are going to be are going to answer the call, are going to call them back within 24 hours of a hero going to the Homes for Heroes website.
Oh, got it.
You also want people that have some experience. I have over 13 years of real estate experience, so you want people that aren't just brand new, new kid on the block. Isn't always a good thing, especially when you're dealing with a very sensitive occupations.
Right. And so how did these heroes, what's the mission at this point, to let more heroes know about this program?
Yes, the mission, we have heroes locally, but there's also my mission is to let all our heroes know that this is available, because there are a lot of veterans, teachers, lots of people, when I explain the program, they're like, wow, I've never heard about that, and why haven't I heard about that?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, we will definitely be putting that on our site, let people find you and find the organization across the country.
And how are you doing with your $50,000 goal?
Well,
is that for just 2015 or?
Yes,
yeah,
it's for the year.
Oh, wow. Oh, jeez. So how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's a work in progress, like anything else. It takes time to get the word out there.
Right.
Yeah.
I have it. I have a lot of Facebook advertisement I'm doing. I have some other types of advertisement. I advertise on my car.
Mm-hmm. Right. Do you have support from the national organization, or as a local, you're just kind of on your own?
As a local, I'm on my own, and there's also there's a lot of support through the Homes for Heroes corporate. I can call them if I have a question on, say, I'm doing a ribbon cutting, or say I want to do a press release, or any of those type of things. I do get assistance through other Homes for Heroes agents as well as corporate.
That's great. Well, we will definitely put those on our website, right. homesforheroes.com and Homes for Heroes SCV.
No, SCV.
SCV.
Oh.
SCV homesforheroes.com.
Right.
Sam Charlie Victor.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Silver,
Sam,
thank you so much. And for what you're doing, we talk about heroes, and for you to honor them every day with your mission and your career. Kim and I were talking before the show about that sometimes we honor people on a specific date, an anniversary, and the fact that you do this on a daily basis, and you've made this, such an important part of your life.
And what a legacy that you get to leave for your daughters.
Absolutely, and we applaud you. Thanks so much, Sam Silver.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, ladies. Have a wonderful day.
You
Thanks,
too.
You too.
Bye-bye. So we only have 2 minutes left of the show, but I have to say, I was concerned a little bit because I don't do sad very well. I fully admit this all the time.
I cry all the time. I can't even I'm like sniffling off radio.
I don't know how you did this. This is not self-promotion because it's not my book. September 22nd, Media Circus.
Yeah.
Scarlett's story is just one of 10.
Yeah, it was
these people who've opened up their hearts to you. I could feel the way she talks to you.
Yeah.
In a way that's so trusting and so honest. I'm really, really excited to read your book and just to kind of see.
So obviously you didn't pre-order it because you would have gotten it yesterday. So there you go. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
But bam!
No, I'm kidding. I really
would have gotten it early.
Yeah. I really appreciate that.
Talk about burying the lead.
Okay,
pre-order the book on Amazon. Where would you like people to order the book?
They can go to my website, KimberlyGoldman.com, or on
KimberlyGoldman.com.
Or
don't tweet her at Kim Goldman on Twitter, because that is not her, and that woman is very offended when you tweet at her, even though her Twitter account was created way after you became in the public eye.
You're so funny. We have 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So
KimberlyGoldman.com.
Yes,
Find the
or
book.
on Amazon. You can look me up. I have a couple books on
Next
there.
week's All Good Times.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you
so
for
much.
listening. We appreciate you guys being here. Jackie MacDougall and Kim Goldman signing off for Broadscast on this lovely Friday.